Hey YNR fans! Waving hand, welcome to YNR Trends, your go-to spot for the juiciest Young and the Restless updates, shocking spoilers, and all the drama you can't stop talking about. From surprise returns to scandalous twists, we break it all down for you, every day. So grab your coffee, hit that subscribe button, and let's dive right into Genoa City's hottest gossip. According to teasers for The Young and the Restless, a new Kane Ashby murder mystery may be in the works. In a revenge mystery plot, will Kane suffer severe injuries? Kane is making a lot of people happy now that he is back in Genoa City again. Kane has been assembling the components of his GC dominance scheme and purchasing real estate. Kane has a target on his back because he has essentially become the town's biggest enemy. We wouldn't be shocked if YNR did another mystery in Genoa City after their whodunit story in Nice. The program could easily make a who shot Kane situation or find another means to generate fatal risk because there are many people who would have an incentive to pursue Kane. Naturally, since Billy Flynn has joined the show and is here to stay, Kane isn't leaving. This implies that Kane will live through anything is thrown at him, although he could still suffer severe injuries in the event that his life is attempted. If Lily Winters were charged with shooting Kane, it would be intriguing. If Holden Novak ultimately holds Kane responsible for Damian Kane's death, he may also be added to the suspect list. Amy Lewis can also be seen as a suspect since she might be driven to the point of pursuing Kane. Kane appears to be the ideal suspect because all of the Abbotts and Newmans might also reach the suspect zone. Kane thought he was being targeted for murder in France, but his former hometown might be the site of a worse threat. Kane will be singled out and get ready to defend himself since some new revenge plots are in fact going to begin. Will Kane soon find himself in more difficulty than he anticipated? Kane Ashby had been in Genoa City long enough to know that secrets didn't stay buried, no matter how deep you thought you'd hidden them. But this time, the secret wasn't his, or at least, that's what he'd been telling himself for weeks. The truth was far messier. Every quiet glance from across the Crimson Lights counter, every hushed whisper when he entered society, every accidental run-in that lingered just a little too long, they all pointed to something he couldn't quite pin down. Someone had a plan. And Kane could feel in his bones that whatever was coming wasn't going to end with a polite handshake and a smile. It started with the letter. No return address, no name, just 4 words scrawled in dark ink across a piece of plain stationery, "You know what you did." His first instinct was to crumple it, toss it, and pretend it was nothing more than a cruel joke. But the careful slant of the handwriting gnawed at him. It was familiar. Too familiar. And the worst part? He didn't have a clean conscience. He'd made enemies before, in business, in love, in life. And those enemies, some of them had a reason to see him fall. Still, nothing in that note prepared him for what happened next. The night air was damp, carrying the smell of rain-soaked pavement as Kane walked from the Grand Phoenix toward his car. The streetlights cast long, lonely shadows, and his mind kept circling back to the letter tucked into his jacket pocket. He barely heard the footsteps at first, soft, measured, following just far enough behind to blend into the rhythm of the city. He turned once, twice, scanning the street, but each time, there was nothing. Then the third time, he saw a figure, tall, broad-shouldered, face obscured by the hood of a dark sweatshirt. Kane's stomach tightened. He picked up his pace. "Kane!" The voice cracked through the night like a whip, sharp, cold, and unfamiliar. He barely had time to spin around before a sudden, brutal force slammed into his side. The air rushed from his lungs, pain searing through his ribs as he stumbled back. The world blurred. He heard the scuffle of shoes against wet asphalt, felt the rough grip of someone's hand at his collar, and then, just as suddenly, the attacker was gone, melting into the shadows as if they'd never been there. Kane doubled over, gasping, one hand pressed against his side. Pain radiated through him in waves. He didn't even realize blood was pooling beneath his fingers until the crimson glistened under the streetlight. The edges of his vision darkened, the night swallowing him whole before he could call for help. When Kane woke, the sterile smell of antiseptic filled his lungs. The steady beep of a heart monitor cut through the fog in his head. His ribs ached with every breath, and his right arm was strapped against his chest in a sling. Hospital. He didn't remember getting here. He didn't remember much of anything after that blow in the street. But one thing was certain, someone had tried to put him down. And whoever it was, they'd almost succeeded. Don't move too fast. The voice was soft but laced with tension. Lily. She was sitting in the chair beside his bed, her fingers twisted tightly around the edge of a paper cup. Her eyes, a mixture of fear and frustration, locked on his. You're lucky you're still breathing. Kane tried to speak, but his throat felt like sandpaper. How bad? You've got 3 cracked ribs, a dislocated shoulder, and enough bruises to keep you out of the gym for a month. The doctor said you lost a lot of blood, Kane. Her voice broke for just a second before she pulled herself together. They found you in the alley behind the hotel. If someone hadn't called 911 when they did, she didn't finish. She didn't have to. Kane swallowed hard, his mind already spinning. Did they catch whoever did it? Lily shook her head, her jaw tightening. No. And the police don't have much to go on. No witnesses who actually saw the attack, no cameras that caught a clear shot. But I know this wasn't random. Someone wanted to hurt you. Badly. He closed his eyes, the memory of that note flashing in his mind. You know what you did. His gut told him this was connected, but connected to what? And more importantly, who? There was a list in his head, longer than he wanted to admit. Enemies from his time in Australia, from his messy business deals, from his complicated romantic history. But there was one name that stood out. Damien. It wasn't the first time Kane had thought of him in the past few months. Damien's sudden disappearance after their last explosive confrontation had left questions and grudges hanging in the air. If anyone had the motive and the resources to set up something like this, it was Damien. But Damien was supposed to be dead. Or was he? The intricate web of relationships, betrayals, and emotional turmoil in The Young and the Restless has always been a cornerstone of its storytelling, and the latest spoilers reveal a devastating turn of events. Phyllis's betrayal leads to a fatal consequence, and Nick finds himself in a desperate mission to save her. This storyline is layered with themes of trust, redemption, and the destructive power of secrets, all of which have long been central to the show's narrative. The fallout from Phyllis's actions not only impacts her directly but also sends shockwaves through the lives of those closest to her, particularly Nick, whose loyalty and love for her are put to the ultimate test. Phyllis Summers has always been a character defined by her complexity. She is fiercely passionate, cunning, and often driven by her emotions, which has led her to make both heroic and disastrous decisions. Her relationships, particularly with Nick Newman, have been marked by intense highs and devastating lows. Their connection has endured numerous trials, but the latest betrayal may be the one that finally breaks them or forces them into a deeper, more painful reckoning. The spoilers suggest that Phyllis's actions, likely stemming from her manipulative tendencies or a misguided attempt to protect herself or someone she loves, result in a tragic outcome. Someone pays the ultimate price. The identity of the victim remains a point of speculation, but the implications are clear. Phyllis's choices have deadly repercussions. The betrayal itself is likely rooted in one of Phyllis's classic maneuvers, a scheme gone wrong, a lie exposed, or a desperate bid for control. Given her history, it wouldn't be surprising if her actions were initially intended to shield someone she cares about, only to spiral out of control. Phyllis has often operated under the belief that she can outmaneuver any situation, but this time, her luck runs out. The consequences are irreversible, and the guilt she carries will be a defining factor in her character's trajectory moving forward. The emotional weight of knowing her betrayal led to a loss of life will haunt her, and those around her will struggle to reconcile the Phyllis they love with the Phyllis capable of such destruction. Nick Newman, ever the steadfast and compassionate figure, finds himself torn between his sense of justice and his enduring love for Phyllis. Despite their tumultuous past, Nick has always had a soft spot for her, seeing the vulnerability beneath her tough exterior. When he learns of her betrayal and its fatal outcome, his initial reaction may be one of anger and betrayal. Yet, true to his nature, he won't abandon her. Nick's journey in this storyline is one of moral conflict. How far is he willing to go to save someone who has caused so much pain? His decision to rescue Phyllis, whether from legal consequences, emotional collapse, or physical danger, speaks to his unwavering loyalty, even when it may not be deserved. Their dynamic has always been one of push and pull, Phyllis's impulsiveness clashing with Nick's stability, her chaos contrasting with his calm. Yet, they have always found their way back to each other, drawn by a deep, if complicated, bond. This time, however, the stakes are higher than ever. Nick's attempt to rescue Phyllis isn't just about saving her from external threats, it's about pulling her back from the brink of her own self-destruction. He understands that Phyllis, for all her flaws, is not inherently evil. She is a woman who has been shaped by pain, loss, and a relentless need to fight for her place in the world. If anyone can reach her, it's Nick. The fallout from this storyline will ripple across Genoa City, affecting multiple characters. Sharon, Nick's ex-wife and Phyllis's longtime rival, may find herself caught in the middle, forced to confront her own feelings about Phyllis's actions. Sharon has often been the voice of reason, the one who sees through Phyllis's schemes, but she also understands the capacity for change. Her reaction will be pivotal. Will she advocate for forgiveness or demand accountability? Meanwhile, Jack Abbott, Phyllis's former husband and another significant figure in her life, will likely grapple with his own mixed emotions. Jack has seen Phyllis at her best and worst, and while he may feel anger over her betrayal, he may also recognize the tragedy in her downfall. The victim of Phyllis's betrayal, whether a major character or an unexpected casualty, will leave a void in the lives of those who knew them. If it is someone close to Nick or Phyllis, the grief will further complicate Nick's mission to save her. Can he justify standing by Phyllis when her actions have caused irreparable harm? The moral ambiguity of this situation is what makes it so compelling. The Young and the Restless excels at exploring the gray areas of human behavior, and this storyline is no exception. There are no easy answers, no clear villains or heroes, only flawed individuals navigating the consequences of their choices. Phyllis's journey in the aftermath of this betrayal will be one of reckoning. For years, she has skirted true accountability, often managing to talk or scheme her way out of trouble. But this time, there is no escape. The weight of what she has done will force her to confront the darkest parts of herself. Will she seek redemption, or will she spiral further into guilt and self-sabotage? Her path forward will depend on whether she can finally accept responsibility and whether those she has hurt, particularly Nick, can find a way to forgive her. Nick's role as her rescuer is fraught with challenges. Saving Phyllis isn't just about physical or legal salvation, it's about offering her a lifeline to emotional redemption. He will need to navigate his own anger and disillusionment while trying to pull her back from the edge. Their relationship, already tested by years of drama, will face its greatest trial yet. If they emerge from this, it will be forever changed, either stronger from having weathered the storm or fractured beyond repair. The storytelling potential in this arc is immense. The Young and the Restless has always thrived on high-stakes drama, and this plotline delivers that in spades. It's a story about the limits of love, the cost of betrayal, and the possibility of forgiveness. Phyllis, for all her faults, is a character who evokes strong reactions. Viewers may debate whether she deserves sympathy or condemnation. Similarly, Nick's decision to stand by her will be polarizing. But that's the brilliance of soap opera storytelling, it thrives on moral complexity and emotional intensity. As the drama unfolds, viewers will be left questioning, can Phyllis ever truly atone for what she's done? Is Nick's loyalty noble or misguided? And most importantly, can any relationship survive such a devastating betrayal? The answers will shape the future of these characters and Genoa City itself. One thing is certain, this storyline will leave a lasting impact, proving once again why The Young and the Restless remains a powerhouse of daytime drama.